Jeremy here, Jeeps Unlimited, partsbreakers.com, 303-666-9020. All right, I am listing our lower grade 6-cylinder frame. Meaning lower grade, they have, they're not perfect, let's just put it that way, but they're fairly solid frames still, and I'm gonna point everything out on them as if you're standing here next to me having a conversation. As you're gonna see the frame eventually, that's what I always say. So I mean, it's just one of those things, it's inevitable. It's better to be up front, really up front. Videos do, I think, the best, but there are photos on this ad and whatnot. So first and foremost, this frame was coated in grime. I took the hot seat to it. It actually came out better than it looked initially, just because there was so much sludge on it. And you could tell it was probably brake fluid because it lifted the paint. Matter of fact, most of the paint came off this frame when while I was washing it. So, and it was bubbling as paint does when you get certain chemicals on them. And because it was already kind of lifting, that metal is oxidized underneath when this came off. So this area here, as you can see, get a little bit perspective on that guy, on down to here. There is definitely a little bit of surface material that was off on that area there. And there's definitely a few places like that on it, and I'll show you all of them. It's gonna be a inexpensive option. If you were to sandblast this frame and do a little bit of repair work on it, this frame is still a quality frame. And you know, the savings, we get 2,300 bucks out of a grade A. I'm out of those. They sell really quickly. That may go up in the future because they've been so hard to get 6-cylinder. I have a couple 4-cylinder grade A's left. You do have to move the motor mounts on those. So it's kind of, you know, each your own. The 4-cylinder grade A is around 21. So this thing's gonna be priced right at 1,000. So you can see the significant savings as far as that goes. So if you happen to have access, and you don't need to sandblast it, it just would be one of those frames that would be a good candidate for it. If you're not gonna sandblast, you're just gonna paint it, you're definitely gonna wanna get the old stuff off and clean, wash and clean, because again, you can kind of see just here alone, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about on this top layer. So, and this is actually, you know, there's a little bit of rust in there. So that top layer is definitely on its way out as far as that goes. And there are a couple places that it's kind of gone through at. It's not in the areas that these love to rust out on the East Coast, Midwest when we see them, which is usually down in this area here. And this is actually still all factory paint, but you can see it's rough. And that's, again, something's got on that paint. And had I spent a little bit more time, it would have taken off. This is probably one of the worst areas on it, which on my other one we just put up that sold earlier, this whole mount was gone. So you could lop this mount off, although the mount itself is actually solid. This is one of the terrible designs on YJs because they didn't put any relief points for stuff to you know, mud, dirt, salt to go out of. Unfortunately, it packs here, and because it's up in the area of the Jeep that you can't really clean out very easily, you really have to be due diligent when you clean these things. This is probably more severe than we normally see. Sometimes you'll start seeing little pinholes here. So again, it's a reinforced area partly because there's a bracket here, but I would definitely get in here and clean that up, the rest of that up, if not. Now the other one I had also was missing the track bar bracket. So the brackets on this one are in good shape. So little work on that part. We usually pull these, but everything you see on this is going to be included, including that guy, which is your fuel filter skid plate, if you call it. Now this guy here is definitely same thing. It's starting to, you know, leach up a little bit, but there's no holes in this part of the frame, and there's a cover on this one. Again, most East Coast guys drill relief holes in these to help clean them out, but you pack it full of mud, those holes aren't going to do crap. So it really should have been kind of a channel that would have let things flow, and that's what a lot of people do to those from now on. So you got one issue on that guy there. That's your passenger side shock bracket right in between. Everything else is surface as far as this goes. Now the other thing on this one, which drops the price significantly, is the leaf spring. Let's see here, focus. Leaf spring purchase. Somebody got lazy. It wasn't our yard. We don't even allow torches, but that's what they did. They torched off the rear. The front are intact, and the plates are at least there to see where you'd have to put them back on. 9 times out of 10, those areas aren't really bad on East Coast, Midwest. So likely you're gonna have those on your frame. If you don't, and you need a set of them, I would be willing to throw them in on this one to whoever this frame goes to. And low grade frames always sell quick because they're so cheap. And typically people, when they're you know, facing with an issue, they're dealing with like a crack or something. So that's the back half of the frame, and it's kind of ironic because as you get closer to the front, this is all continued factory paint, right? And look how beautiful this frame gets, and you can see the grime I didn't get off all the way there. So really, as it gets closer up, the nicer and prettier it gets. You get up here, you're starting to get a little bit here. This is a bushing sits up here where your grill goes, okay? That one is completely gone, okay? And it's centered, so I mean, I would probably clean this up and just plate it over the top. It's just where the radiator support bushing goes, and it pinches and it rubs, and it just, honestly, what really does those most of the time is it just traps a little bit of dirt, and the vibration like sandpaper goes through. The other one, this was a lot worse. This one's actually not in bad shape. The rest of those are actually all clean. That one we need to pull the bushing completely off, but the rest of the holes are all nice and clean there. And then up through this area, okay, really nice and solid, inner and outer, both sides. So let me lift it in the air and show you the bottom. I got to scramble because I got several other frames to put up. I did all our tubs, and I'm heading, I'm leaving, let's see, it's the 2nd, I think, or somewhere around there. I'm leaving on the 12th of December, if not this Friday. We'll see how it goes if I can get out of here and deliver in East Coast. So anyway, bottom side, same as top. There's some droplets of water, so that's what you're seeing here from when I wash it. And I apologize, the lighting isn't better right now because there we go. It's a little bit better there. So nice and solid under here. Most of the paint's all intact here. Leaf spring perches, these are nice and solid up in here. And we scope them just to make sure there's nothing that we can't see. Obviously on this one, there's a little bit more as far as, you know, oxidation of metal, also a little bit of surface rust, but nothing that was showing up on the inside that wasn't showing up on the outside. So real solid here. This area up through here, where your gearbox goes, again, a nice area that pinches. It's definitely got some roughness to it, but no holes are showing up here, anything like this where that gearbox goes. I would definitely get this cleaned up, and because of that hole that you've seen on the top, I might even channel this a little bit more or plate it just to reinforce it so it doesn't get anything in the future there. But you could just use it as is. It really depends on the purpose. A lot of times people are trying to get rid of their Jeep and they got a frame that's toast, and this frame on the East Coast Midwest, I know because I've been out there, compared to what I've seen, it would be a quality frame, or, you know, underneath a Jeep anyway. So this hole here, let's see, threads appear to be okay. It's hard to feel, but these might be pulled, so keep that in mind. That one's broken, so you're going to want to redo one of those, put a nut cert in it, and take it out. One of these, I think there are a few of these. Yep, this one is too. You can see it right there. And that hole you're seeing on the other side is the factory hole there, so we're just seeing right through it. Actually, no, that's not a factory hole. Take that back. Somebody's cut into this. And you know what? I know what they did. I don't like when they do this. I would plate this back over because this makes a weak spot here, but they got into it, so it's there. So now you can get in and put a welded nut if you want, or just a big nut, depending on what you're going to do with it. That one's broke, the same as the middle on that side, and I believe here's your mounts here that we looked at earlier. Okay, solid all through here. Everything you'd be bolting back to is nice and clean here. If you're going to be 5-linking or doing some sort of control arm, this would be a nice frame for that too. I don't want to drop this on my head, but let's see if I can get it a little bit. Yeah, so there's our last hole there. That actually one looks not bad, but you know what? They relief cut it, that same thing. So that's a bummer. I didn't notice that. We're going to be about $800. That knocked off another 200 as far as we're concerned. And if this frame is too far gone, see, this one doesn't have it over here. It is what it is. It's a super low grade frame. They'll still sell quick, so no hard feelings if this one does not work for your needs. I have one more I'm going to put up, also a lower grade in that price point. And if you're interested in a 4-cylinder, if I have time tonight, I'm going to try to get a couple of those up. And I will talk real briefly, because of this frame's condition, what you have to do in just a hodgepodge manner. I needed to get photos of that, but I'm going to have to do that in a minute here. So on a 4-cylinder frame, these guys right here, both sides, are moved up, or excuse me, back. Okay, so to go to 6, you got to go up, and also you'll need to reuse your brackets from your 6 if you end up with a 4-cylinder frame. This is not on this frame, but in case you were going to do one or the other. And either way, if you were wanting to use this on a 4-cylinder, you'd have to reuse, because the brackets themselves are different, and the position. So they're further back, and they're offset slightly with different brackets. So, okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. Call me if you have any questions if you're trying to do something like that. 303-666-9020. Otherwise, get this focused again and give you kind of a lowdown of it. Okay, 303-666-9020. Give me a holler, and I'll help you out with anything else you need. 7 acres, rust-free Jeep parts. You know, obviously not rust-free on this one. This one does have a little bit, but not bad considering, and still definitely usable. Otherwise, I wouldn't have listed it. And just, you know, $800 plus shipping, and we'll go from there. I appreciate all your time, and thanks a lot.